So good morning to all. So I am audible. Okay, thank you. So dear students, so today our topic is ketogenesis and ketolysis. So ketogenesis, nothing but the formations of the ketone bodies. So in our body, like acetate, acetoacetate, beta hydroxybutyrate. So these are the main ketone bodies. So they are formed in our body. Then ketolysis, that is the metabolisms of the formed ketone bodies. So that process was known as the ketolysis. So before you start the chapter, so today topics, so I want to ask you one question for you. So what is the keto diet? So anyone, if you know regarding the keto diets, so this is related to the ketogenesis. Naturally, so whatever the ketone bodies, so they are synthesized in our body. So that process was known as the ketogenesis. So with the help of the certain diet or restricted diet, we are enhance the synthesis of the ketone bodies in our body. So that process was known as the ketosis. In both conditions, the ketone bodies are generated in our body like acetate, acetoacetate, beta hydroxybutyrate. So these are the ketone bodies. By getting certain restricted diet, okay, so they enhance the ketone bodies. Okay, so because so when the that is a glucose is not available in our body, so on that time our body can got the energy from the beta oxidation. So already you learn. Okay, so when our FD was finished in the form of the glycogen, so then our source of energy, so for the many organs, so that was mainly depending upon the beta oxidations. Okay, from the beta oxidation, the acetyl CoA is produced. Okay, so that acetyl CoA enter in the TCA cycle, then it can metabolize into a carbon dioxide and water. It means maximum. So source of energy, the pathways are the TCA cycle and beta oxidation. In certain conditions, so these cycles are restricted. Okay, in certain condition. So on that time, so our body it can shift for generations of energy or utilization energy by productions of the ketone bodies. So that process naturally occurs in our body, that was known as the ketogenesis. The metabolism of these ketone bodies, so that was known as the ketolysis. And regarding the keto diet, so these are the certain foods like they containing the proteins as well as the fats, but they containing less amount of carbohydrates, simply to cut the source of the carbohydrates from the food. So automatically, so our body can shift it towards the ketosis or formations of ketone bodies for the productions of the energy. So then automatically the fat can be digested in our body, the protein can be digested. So due to that, automatically the body weight can decreases. But in some extent, in the both conditions, the overproductions of the ketone bodies, so they are responsible for the damage of the organ. So that's why you should be conscious only under the supervision of the healthcare providers, especially the nutritions. So with their direction, under their direction only, you can go for the keto diet. Otherwise you do not go for the keto diet, because it can create the problem to the kidney or problem to the brain, problem to the heart, or problem to the muscles. Unnecessarily we are shifted toward the keto diets. So only under the supervisions of specially nutritions. Okay, especially the nutritions are available for them, you can touch with them, so they follow their direction, then you can go for the keto diet to lose the body weight. Simply unnecessarily you do not cut the carbohydrates in our food. Okay, so when we can got the body weight, so automatically, so we are conscious regarding the lose the body weight, so on that time we can start to cut down the carbohydrates. Our source of carbohydrates, you can avoid the all the source of carbohydrates from our food, but that is also hazardous, that is also harmful, because so when our body do not got the carbohydrates as a source of energy, so on that time it can shifted towards the ketogenesis and over productions of ketone bodies in our body, so that was responsible for the liver failure or kidney failure or muscle failure, or even it can cause the fatigue. So that's why we do not go for unrestricted on the carbohydrates intake. Okay, so with the help of exercise or with the help of cardiac exercise is there, or aerobic exercise is there, or pranayama is there, yoga is there, follow those, and your daily intake of food is can maintain same. Okay, so those exercises, so they are helpful for to dissolve the fd and to decrease the body weight. So that's why my suggestions for you, for all of you, especially for the girls, is do not go for to restriction diet or keto diet unnecessary. Okay, so go for the exercise, pranayam, then yoga. Okay, so these all are without any cardiac exercise, the pranayam yoga, so those are also helpful for to decrease the or to control the body weight, and also without any hazardous to the brain or harmful effect to the brain, so they are helpful for to lose the body weight by maintaining the oxygen content continuously towards the brain. So that's why there is no harmful to the brain. Otherwise during the restriction, so they create some problem to the brain. Then anytime the brain is abnormal means all the body organ functions are abnormal, then we are suffering from the various kind of the disorder. So that's why today we discuss regarding the synthesis of the ketone bodies in our body naturally, that is the ketogenesis, and as well as the metabolism of the ketolysis. So before that we can go for the, so regarding the introductions, so ketogenesis is a biochemical process. Okay, so in which the ketone bodies are processed by a breakdown of the fatty acids. Okay, so it is the biochemical process. So here the ketone bodies, so naturally, so they are processed in our body, so due to breakdown of the fatty acids or breakdown of the ketogenic amino acids, that is the leucine, isoleucines. So nowadays they are compulsory, they are present in our multivitamins. Okay, because these are the ketogenic amino acids, so they are helpful for to maintain the ATP level in our body. Okay, so that's why the doctors, so they prefer the beta complex, so that should be containing the certain ketogenic amino acids. So those are responsible for the formations of the ketone bodies, and ketone bodies is also processed after the beta oxidations or the process metabolism of the fatty acids. So the ketogenesis, it is the one of the important process. Okay, it was mainly occurs in the mitochondrial matrix of the liver. It is an important, it can provide the fuel or energy for various tissues, especially for cardiac muscle, skeletal muscle, and as well as for the brain. Okay, so the ketogenesis, it was the one of the pathway, it is acts as the to fulfill the demand of the organ, that is the demand that is in the form of the ATP. So that's why the ketogenesis is known as the metabolic fuel pathway, especially for the brain, then heart and skeletal muscle. So where the ketogenesis occurs, so during the fasting, so when you are fasting, so where there is no carbohydrates are available for source of energy, or during the calorie restriction. Nowadays some fellows are there, so they follow the calorie restriction, so they every time, so when they take any food means, so they concentrate on the calorie, how much calorie today I can got, so they are following the calorie restriction. So on that time, if your body activities was increases, especially your brain, So then the brain continuously it can require the ATP. So that ATP we can got from the ketogenesis. And as well as in the case of the sleep, okay, so during the sleep, then also the ketone bodies or ketogenesis it can provide the energy to your body. Okay, even certain metabolic disorders, okay, so where the gluconeogenesis do not occurs. Okay, gluconeogenesis is the alternative to supply the continuously glucose to the our body from the non-carbohydrate sources. So due to any deficient in the enzymes or due to any metabolic disorders or conditions, so on that time the gluconeogenesis is insufficient. So on that time the ketogenesis was helpful for to supply the continuous energy to the our body. Okay, so regarding the ketone bodies, so ketone bodies are, so they can undergo the beta oxidation in the liver and to generate the high amount of energy. Okay, so they are mainly three compounds. So those are known as the ketone bodies. So ketone bodies are the water soluble and they travels throughout the body without any transport proteins like a lipoprotein. They do not require lipoproteins to transfer throughout the body from one area to the another area. Okay, so example for the ketone bodies are the acetoacetate, acetone, and beta hydroxy butyrate. So these are the three ketone bodies. So they are present or processed in our body for the fuel purpose, for the supply of the continuous ATP to the various vital organs, including the our brain, heart, and as well as the skeletal muscles. Okay, so here the acetoacetate, it do not have any action. It is produced in the liver, but it can convert into a acetone and beta hydroxybutyrates. So like that acetone, it is also do not have any role in the productions of ATP, but on hydrolysis it was responsible for the productions of the other ketone bodies. But this beta hydroxybutyrate, it was main source of the ATP from the ketone body. So like that, see in our body, so we will be having the three types of the ketone body. One is the acetoacetate, acetone, and as well as the beta hydroxybutyrate. So we learn regarding the ketogenesis. So it is the pathway or process. So where the ketone bodies are processed for the productions of the ATP. So because, so dear students, the during the beta oxidation the acetyl CoA is produced, already you know. Okay, so at the end of the beta oxidation the acetyl CoA is produced and this acetyl CoA is enter in the TCA cycle, then further it can produces the ATP, but TCA cycle is a restricted or rate limiting steps are there. So this TCA cycle is mainly depending upon the oxaloacetate. Okay, the regulations of TCA cycle, it was mainly depending upon the oxaloacetate. In the absence or less number of oxaloacetate, so on that time, so this acetyl CoA is responsible for the productions of ATP through a formations of the ketone bodies. Okay, so this acetyl CoA due to lack of oxaloacetate for a TCA cycle. So on that time, so acetyl CoA is the precursors are involved in the formations and productions of the ketone bodies. So first steps, so regarding the ketogenesis, the condensation of the acetyl CoA into a acetoacetyl CoA by a thiolase enzyme. So thiolase is the starting or beginning enzyme. So that was required for the ketogenesis, or it can utilize the two molecule of acetyl CoA and start the synthesis of the ketone bodies. Okay, so in the presence of the coenzyme A and thiolase enzyme, so two molecule of acetyl CoA, so they are converted into a acetoacetyl CoA. So this is the first step of the ketogenesis, so where the acetyl CoA molecule can condense into a acetoacetyl CoA. So in the presence of the thiolase enzymes or in the presence of the coenzyme A. Sorry, so here the coenzyme A is releases from the acetyl CoA. Okay, so next one. So regarding the step 2, so one more molecule of acetyl CoA condensed with the acetoacetyl CoA by a enzyme, that is the HMG CoA synthase enzyme. So here the another molecule of the acetyl CoA, so that condensed or joined with the previously formed acetyl CoA. So in the presence of the enzyme, that is the HMG CoA synthase enzyme. So then so the new molecule was formed, and as well as the coenzyme A is releases from the acetyl CoA. So that is the newly formed compound is a beta hydroxy beta methyl glutaryl CoA, that is the also known as the HMG CoA enzyme. So this enzyme is responsible for the additions of the another molecule of acetyl CoA or acetyl to a previously formed acetoacetyl CoA. So then the new compound is formed, that was known as the HMG CoA or beta hydroxy beta methyl glutaryl CoA. So this is the second step that was involved in the ketogenesis. So next one is the step 3. Okay, that is the HMG CoA lyase. It is the another enzyme. So this enzyme can cleave the HMG CoA and to produce a acetoacetate and acetyl CoA. Okay, so this is an another enzyme. It is involved in the cleavaging reactions. Okay, so it can cleave the, that is HMG CoA or beta hydroxy beta methyl glutaryl CoA into a acetoacetate, and it can liberate the one molecule of acetyl CoA. So this is the first ketone body, that is the acetoacetate. Okay, so next one, that is the step 4, that is the formations of the other ketone bodies. So this acetoacetate, so without enzyme, it can undergo the decarboxylation and release the carbon dioxide. Then it can form the acetone. So acetone is the another ketone bodies. So that was formed from the acetoacetate without any enzyme, or that was known as the non-enzymatic decarboxylation. So where the acetoacetate is converted into a acetones. Okay, so next in another side, in another way of these steps, so in the presence of d beta hydroxy butyrate dehydrogenase enzyme and in the presence of NADH, so the d beta hydroxy butyrate is the form. So it is the third ketone bodies. So like that, so three ketone bodies like acetoacetate or acetone and beta hydroxybutyrate, they are formed in the only the in the 4 steps. So that entire process is known as the ketogenesis. So next one is the, so regarding the ketolysis, that is the breakdown of the ketone bodies. That process or pathway is known as a ketolysis. So this is the basic steps. So that is the beta hydroxybutyrate. It is the important ketone bodies, so responsible for the generations of the energy. Okay, so that can be converted or metabolized into a acetoacetate. So in the presence of the enzyme, that is the oxidized, or this is the oxidation reaction, so that was catalyzed by beta hydroxybutyrate dehydrogenase enzyme. Okay, so that can convert beta hydroxybutyrate into a acetoacetate. Further, so this acetoacetate is catalyzed by a, that is the thiophorase enzyme. Then it can form the acetoacetyl CoA. Then acetyl CoA is cleaved into a by a enzyme like a thiolase enzyme. Then acetyl CoA is formed. Okay, so like that, the ketone bodies are break down into a beta hydroxybutyrate into a acetyl CoA. Nothing but it is simply the reverse of the ketogenesis process. So that is the ketolysis. Okay, so where the beta hydroxybutyrate in the presence of NAD plus NADH converted into NADH plus H. So in the presence of this beta hydroxybutyrate enzyme, it can convert into a acetoacetate. Then the acetoacetate in the addition along with the succinyl CoA in the presence of thiophorase enzyme, it can convert acetoacetyl CoA and as well as the succinate. Then further acetoacetyl CoA in the additions of coenzyme A. So in the presence of thiolase, it can convert acetyl CoA. That is the two molecule of the acetyl CoA. So like that, the ketone bodies are continuously. So they are synthesized as well as the breakdown. So during that, so whatever the acetyl CoA, so they are produced from the beta oxidation. So they are regulated. So for the productions of the energy, even in the absence of the TCA cycles. So yeah, there are two process. So they can involved in the ketone bodies metabolism, the ketogenesis and as well as the ketolysis. So next one. So regarding the significance of ketogenesis, so as you know, the ketogenesis is required for the to guard the energy for that is the brain, heart, and as well as the skeletal muscles under the fasting conditions or caloric restrictions or sleep or any metabolic disorders. And the ketogenic diet, it was also helpful for to lose the weight in nowadays. So this diet was the more popular, so they are containing the lot of fat. Okay, so due to lot of fat, it can undergo the beta oxidation. Then lack of oxaloacetate, so that can enter in the formations of ketone bodies. So due to that, it was helpful for to lose the body weight and as well as the body can got the lot of the energy during the cutting of the carbohydrates or restrictions on the caloric restrictions and as well as the insufficient gluconeogenesis or metabolic disorder. Okay, so in ketoacidosis condition, the kidneys excrete extra ketone bodies with the loss of the fluid loss. Okay, so due to more productions of the ketone bodies, so that condition was known as the ketoacidosis, and ketoacidosis is responsible for to damage of the brain or malfunctions of the liver, as well as it can cause the loss of more water or fluid through a kidney. So that's why kidney is also affected. Okay, so due to ketoacidosis or extra secretions of the ketone bodies. Okay, so in the diabetic patients, so they are generally affected by the ketoacidosis because of insulin hormone. So insulin hormone, so they are main regulator for this process, so they can inhibit the certain process. Okay, so regarding the symptoms of ketoacidosis, including the frequent urination, breathing, smelling like a fruits, then are acetone, nausea, shortness of breath, fatigue, excessive thirst. So these are the sign and symptoms of the ketoacidosis. So this is the pathway. So that reversed acetyl CoA, so that can enter step by step in the TCA cycle as well as so that was entering the synthesis of the ketone bodies. So these are very significant. So it is helpful for to guard the energy, or it is helpful for to lose the weight, and as well as the ketogenesis. It is if it is abnormal, if it is excessive, then it was responsible to cause of the various malfunctions of the organ. So that condition was known as the ketoacidosis. The symptoms regarding ketoacidosis are the frequent urination, then as well as breathing smell like a fruits or acetone. Okay, so when you're breathing something, so then you can feeling like a fruits or acetones in your oral cavity. So that denotes you are suffering from the ketoacidosis, or unnecessarily you are suffering from the nausea and shortness of breath, fatigue, and excessive thirst. You can need more of water. Your thirst cannot be completed even you are drinking the lot of water. So these all are denote the symptoms of the ketoacidosis. So there is need to concentrate. So regarding the to avoid the ketoacidosis. So next one is the regulations or regulators for the ketogenesis. So they are the mainly two hormones. So they are regulate the ketogenesis. One is the insulin and another is the glucagon. So insulin, it can decrease the ketogenesis by enhancing the lipolysis or lipogenesis. Okay, so here the insulin, it mainly it was responsible for to decrease the ketogenesis. Okay, and glucagon, it can enhance the ketogenesis. So that's why during the hypoglycemia or low blood sugar level, so the glucagon is released. So that released glucagon, it was responsible for, okay, to enhance the ketogenesis. So regarding other factors, so they are inhibit the ketogenesis are glucose, glycerol, or glucogenic amino acids. So these all are, so they are inhibit the ketogenesis. Okay, excess of glucose, so we can got the ATP. So due to we are gathering the got the ATP, so then organ do not involved in the they can go for the ketogenesis. That is the role of the glucose. If you are having the high blood sugar level, so there are high carbohydrates in your food, the ketone body do not process. Then fat cannot be metabolized, they are stored in the muscle, then our body weight can be increases, as well as glycerol and glucogenic amino acids like a glycine, alanine, serine, and glutamate. So these are also inhibit the ketogenesis or to avoid the ketoacidosis. So regarding the inhibitors, so like glucagon, certain fatty acids, so they are enhance the ketogenesis, and as well as certain ketogenic amino acids like a leucine, lysine, and tyrosines, or many others are there. So they are categorized as the ketogenic amino acids. So they can enhance the, that is the ketogenesis. So next one factor, that is the AMPK, that is the adenine monophosphate kinase. So this is also accelerate the, or it can regulate the ketogenesis. It can enhance the ketogenesis. And another factor is there, that is the alcohol. Okay, it can inhibit the ketogenesis. Okay, alcohol, it can inhibit the ketogenesis, but the AMPK, it can accelerate or enhance the ketogenesis. And here, so alcohol, it can inhibit the ketogenesis by inhibiting the AMPK. The alcohol, it mainly inhibit the ketogenesis by inhibiting the AMPK, that is adenosine monophosphate kinase. So that's why, so those people, so they are consuming the alcohol, for them you can suggest they should be take the glucose, because so when our body do not have the carbohydrate source, so on that time the energy level or energy that was depending upon the ketogenesis. Okay, if the people, so they're taking the alcohol and they do not take any diet. Okay, if you are taking the certain fatty food or non-veg, so they are containing the fats, but that fats that do not helpful for to give energy to us, because alcohol, it inhibit the ketogenesis, then it can cut the, or it can inhibit the generations of the ATP. And during alcohol we do not consume the carbohydrates, then it can create the problem. So that's why, so those people, so they are consuming the alcohol, so they always suffering from the fatigue or decreased level of the energy in their body. If in your friends or in your any relatives or parents, if they are consuming the alcohol, means for them you prefer they should be take the carbohydrates as a snacks. Okay, they should be take the carbohydrates, whatever the food, so they are containing the carbohydrates, you prefer them to take as a snack or as a diet. Okay, because So they are taking the alcohol. So this alcohol inhibit the ketogenesis by inhibiting the AMPK. So then, so there is no source of ATP from the carbo, that is from the fats, from the beta oxidations. Okay. Then in body, so there is no glucose. Then, so their ATP level, energy level in the body decreases. Then they are suffering from the muscular weakness, fatigue. If they want to healthy means, they should be take the carbohydrate source as a snacks during the consumptions or after the consumptions of the alcohol. So then, so those people, so they are consuming the carbohydrate source, so during or after the alcoholism, so they should be free from the weakness, fatigue, or many other disorders. So this is our one of the suggestions from this chapter regarding the, so those are consuming the alcohol, they should be prefer the carbohydrate source in their diet.